Welcome to another episode of Be Tailored. I'm here with my good friend Dennis, who owns this gorgeous Datsun 240Z.
Thank you.
I've been looking forward to filming this for a while, and it's taken us quite a bit of time to get here.
Usually because of the whole Datsun breaking down and such.
Which you can't blame it. I mean, as old as this car is, though you wouldn't think it, looking at the body lines, it's absolutely amazing. You can't blame it for having its hiccups every now and then.
Indeed, though it does suck every so often, but
You
get to learn to be your own mechanic, so that's the plus side of it.
That's the beauty of being a Datsun or Nissan owner.
Honestly, I'd just say it's the beauty of having any old car, so I'll definitely vouch for people getting classics, and I'm always biased. I'm a little biased, though.
For sure.
Yeah.
But the reason we work on these cars is to drive them, so let's say we take this thing for a little drive.
Let's get going.
Let's do it. About the engine in this car.
So as a 240Z from the factory, it came out with a 2.4 liter inline six. Now for this car it came as an automatic, which is actually kind of rare because they didn't come out with a lot of automatics, but they did come with 4 speeds. I was having some issues with my automatic, so I decided to switch it out for a 5-speed from a later 280ZX, which is the model after the Z series, or the S30s. So after I ran into some trouble with my automatic in the 2.4, I was able to find a person who was selling a 2.6 liter with a bit of modifications, with triple Webers, a cam, and some other goodies that made it a bit quicker than its predecessors. And so I put that in and ran a 5-speed, and I'm honestly loving it to this day. And so just to preface my experience with Datsuns, I've probably had 6 or 7 by now. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, I definitely am a little addicted.
And then you buy one, you get rid of it, you get another one.
Yeah, mainly it's essentially just buying it, enjoying it. Once I either get bored or I want to try something different, mainly, just getting a more rare Z. Then I switch up, and finally this is the last one I've had, which is a 1972 Datsun 240Z.
But I mean, these cars are so hard to find anyway, let alone we're here in the Midwest where finding anything JDM can be a bit of a challenge. How hard is it to find parts for this car when you need it?
Honestly, the best thing to do is hoard, and then you actually don't have to find parts. You can just grab them off of your own garage. But honestly, the aftermarket for these cars is actually becoming really open, and so therefore you can get parts for it easily online if you just look a little bit on websites such as Z Depot or other Facebook sites that are just selling them. And I definitely implore people who have cars of any nature to just join groups or a community that really love and share a passion for these cars.
Yeah, I mean, this car has a really big following, so it's no surprise that this car is kind of a classic, where it's getting easier to find parts for it and stuff like that.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, as a 45-year-old car, how does it feel today driving it compared to like a modern car?
Well, the thing about it is you have manual brakes, manual steering, carburetors. So in essence, it's nothing close to a modern car, yet its speed and, okay, I'm not going to touch on reliability, but for the most part, it does keep up with the cars of today. And I mean, it does have its quirks from being 45 years old. Like, it still needs new suspension bushings. It does need things here and there. You do hear a few rattles, but for the most part, for the comfort and just the visual appeal of the interior, it's honestly to my liking, and I like it better than any modern car.
The interior of this car, I'm really like surprised and impressed with. I mean, this car is probably mostly original, right?
Yes,
yeah.
For the most part, besides most of the motor.
I mean, you have all these gauges facing towards you: oil pressure, water temperature, fuel. I'm not even sure what this gauge. Battery.
Amperage,
yeah. I mean, it's just so really driver friendly, I think. The seats are nice. The floors, I mean, I'm impressed how well the carpet is kept. I mean,
fun thing to learn to mess with, and you're getting an experience that you usually would never get on any other car, any modern car that is at least. And so you get to put that on a resume and impress the girls with it. And so another thing that I wanted to touch on, the exhaust in this is a 6 to 3 to 2 header with a twice pipe exhaust going all the way out, so it's 2 diameter tubes going all the way back. And so that really opens it up too, which is why again you can hear all those pops and crackles. And so some people enjoy it, some people don't. I just love it. And so a thing about having an old car like this and something, honestly, the 240 is the epitome of JDM, as you said earlier.
Oh, yeah.
So therefore, when it came to America, the enthusiasts from your regular mom to the competition race class people all love the 240. Therefore, anywhere you go, everyone knows essentially what it is. And they weren't rare at the time. They were selling them a dime a dozen. And so usually whenever you pull up to the store, hey, that's a 240. I used to have one of those in high school. Hey, my friend had that when they got married, or so on and so forth. And so now they're getting a bit rare, but nonetheless, people can definitely tell what it is. Except for those people who do think it's either a Porsche or a Pinto. But hey,
I mean, I
can't blame them. At least they tried.
I do remember the first time ever seeing this car, which was on the internet, of course. I thought this car was some kind of Porsche or something, and I was blown away that it was a Nissan.
Datsun.
A Datsun. Are they the same though?
They are the same thing essentially. The reason why Nissan changed the name when they came to America is so if they did fail when they brought the car to the United States, it wouldn't tarnish the name of Nissan.
That makes sense, yeah.
But Mr. K, who was essentially the motivator of the 240Z, who's now very well known, recently passed away, but he really pushed a passion for cars, or at least Japanese cars, in the U.S. And so really glad that something like that was motivated enough to take a chance. And then out of the gate, it was already a fantastic car. They used it as any great car that's known out there. It was in a lot of races, from the Safari Rari out in Kenya to just your regular SCCA competitions. And so it was well known to the point where people would essentially make the Datsuns their sole race car, in terms of people like Paul Newman or Les Collins, who basically tune these cars out to perform to stellar levels.
Right.
And those are the highest class you could possibly get in terms of modified race cars for Datsuns at least.
So having owned this car for quite a while, what would you say is its like most stellar attribute or characteristic that makes this car so fun to drive?
Lightweight is the biggest one. I remember weighing this thing, it was close to 2,300, which in today's day and age is incredibly light. And so another thing that stands out is just the sex appeal of the car itself. It's just gorgeous. And so the orange doesn't really help that much either in how much it stands out. But it was my favorite color, so that's one of the reasons I chose it. And that really makes it pop.
It really does. You get stopped like everywhere in town, don't you?
Most of the time, yeah.
Everywhere I go, it seems I run into someone who seems to know Datsun or know Dennis because of his orange Datsun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've come to be known as the Datsun guy now, so I'll take that name with pride. And so the later years of the 260Z and the 280Z, that really made the car, it still feels similar, but different in the sense that it was heavier, and they switched to fuel injection after 1975, or in 1975. And so the feel of the car is different. And I did have a 1978 model in British Racing Green, which I also loved. So they have their pros and cons, but you have to love them for what they are.
Yeah.
Either way.
know, I'm not sure that I've ever even driven a carbureted car before.
This is your first for a lot of things?
First for a lot of things, yeah.
Alright, let's pop the cherry.
Not a Nissan, though.
Yeah, true.
That's cool.
Yeah, so this is really notchy.
Is it?
It's really tight.
Here, I'm gonna go through the gears real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
That is notchy. It's notchier than my transmission.
Give it some gas. I can wait till we have some.
Yeah.
After this car should be good.
Should be good.
Yeah.
That's not bad. What's your shift point in these cars?
3.
3? Certainly feels analog. Even the accelerator pedal, I've driven.
Oh yeah, it's not drive-by-wire.
Yeah.
It's all linkages. I guess your car's the same though.
It is. I guess I lied. I have driven a carbureted car before. My friend owns this old Chevelle, and I remember his accelerator pedal being very hard to, or much different. Yeah, much different to push than a more modern car. Come on, forth. There we go. But you do feel everything. So what kind of tire are you running on this car?
They are BF Goodrich radial TAs. They're 245, 60, 14 in the back, and 205, 70, 14 in the front. And so I would have changed the fronts for something a bit wider, like 225s.
Yeah.
But I love the tire overall. And in the back, they're pretty thick, so it does rub a bit, but otherwise I can't complain.
The style of the tire definitely looks like it's like an older style. Was that hard to find at all?
Not necessarily. I took it off of my old Z, so
Okay.
they actually sell them pretty easily, so they're all over the place. The wheel, though, might be a bit harder to find because it was a custom one-off.
Really? Custom one-off? Is that something you went for? Or something you picked up from a...
No, it was actually the previous owner who made it himself, and so I was pretty impressed with the wheel, so I decided to keep it.
They look good on this car.
It really does.
I think the black looks good against this bright orange paint color. And the chrome's not too much either.
It just adds that little bit.
It does.
The wheels make it stand out a lot.
Yeah. It's a really good setup for this really classic looking car. The steering wheel feels like a spaghetti noodle in my hand.
Like spaghetti noodle.
Like spaghetti noodle. It's just
Yeah.
like thin. But it's got a really good feel. The wood grain is awesome. This really is like a driver's car. I really have to pay attention to the road. You can't
Yeah, because it could get you off really quickly.
It really can.
Yeah.
Even more so than my car, I feel like I can feel every little bump in the road where it wants to veer off.
And that's mainly due to the bushings.
Yeah.
If those were replaced, it'd probably feel a lot tighter and a little more stable.
So I heard of a lot of fair lady people wanting to switch over to coilover setups. How involved is that? Like, what's the suspension on this kind of car?
Well, it's independent rear in the back, and essentially it's just a strut spring combo.
Okay.
So a lot of people, to lower it, they would just cut the springs, or you could easily switch to coilovers. But yeah, the coilover conversion is pretty tedious in terms of you'd actually have to cut the old shock, or the old
tower.
shock, yeah, the tower off, and actually weld on the coilover. So it's not a plug and play sort of transfer. So
I'm really impressed. I always thought these cars would have been a live rear axle just because of how old it is. But I guess it's that independent rear suspension that
yeah,
usually
they
makes-
actually, during the early 70s, late 60s is when they were all coming out with this. So Datsun or Nissan was really innovative in what they were doing in the 240Zs, and they essentially were making it to be a competitor to the Porsches and the BMWs of the time. So afraid to hurt people's feelings. Just go with the price that you're comfortable with, and I was able to come out with a 72 for 50 bucks.
You came out with a win.
Yeah, that was a win.
I guess the worst they can say is no, right?
Precisely. And so that was a good experience. But then there is this car, which is the same year model, but it was a lot cleaner.
Man, I'm struggling.
It's all good. It's part of the experience. But I bought this for a lot more. I bought this one for $12K. But that's because it was so clean. I still think I overpaid a little bit more than I should have for the amount of work that I needed to put in. So definitely don't get your mindset into a point where you overlook a lot of the little imperfections in a car.
Was it an impulsive buy?
Say that again?
Was it an impulsive buy? Like,
I think it was.
Yeah.
I made it because this was a Kansas car buy and buy. So it was from a dealership down in Wichita. So actually it was a funny story getting it. I went down to Wichita with a friend. We drove down there. And actually my earlier 78 280Z I also bought from Wichita. But I drove it back here. But this car, when I bought it in Wichita, I thought I could do the same and drive it back to Lawrence, which is a 3-hour drive.
that's a long drive.
Yeah.
For an old car.
Exactly. And so, but I figured from my last experience, hey, it'd be fine. But since it was carbureted and the gas tank was full of at least a pound of rust, which I later found out, the carbs were full of gunk. But I didn't know anything at the time because I wasn't experienced with carbs. So I tried to drive it out, and 1 minute down the road, it just cut off on me. And there was no way I was going to drive that home. And so me and my friend had to push it at least 2 miles back to the guy's place, which we got a lot of thumbs ups and looks, but it was exhausting because half of it was uphill.
Yeah.
So I learned from that don't overpay for something. Definitely look it over completely, and don't let your heart get in front of your brain a lot of the times. So
It's really easy to do.
exactly. And so now from my experience with that, I've learned a lot, and just learn from other people's mistakes overall.
But I mean, you probably wouldn't have learned as much as you did without an old car like this.
Exactly, in terms of motor swaps and how different mechanisms work.
Yeah. I mean,
And the thing is about older cars is they're a lot simpler to work on. So
oh yeah, the engine bay is so open on this
exactly. And so you could, I could probably take out the motor in 30 minutes and put another one in less than an hour.
thing. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's, once you get in the rhythm, you got it.
Yeah.
They're just so simple.
I mean, you put this motor in by yourself, didn't you?
Yes, I did. And so I also switched, a couple other mods I switched up is I put an electric fuel pump in to be more reliable. I also put in some velocity stacks, which a lot of people don't prefer because you could potentially throw a rock up inside of the actual motor and basically your motor's shot from there. But it's a risk I'm willing to take, and I don't really drive on gravel roads or difficult places. Some people may shame me for it, but oh well.
Yeah, you're the one driving it.
Exactly, it's my car.
Yeah. You're the one who's ultimately going to pay the consequences. So
Exactly.
if you're doing what you love, I can't fault you for that.
Precisely, and a lot of people hate on what other people are doing, but they fail to forget it's really not any of your business at that point.
Man, talk about analog.
Mm-hmm.
And the old bushings, I think is part of it. In my S13, I'm pretty ballsy around corners and stuff. I really just go for them. With this car,
Yeah, you're not as confident.
you're not as confident.
Yeah.
And
Again, that's more in particular to this car, because I also
Yeah.
need to change some things up, but
I mean, it's an old car. You can't
Yeah.
fault it for it. It just needs a little love, which you've given a lot of.
yeah, a lot of time.
You really take care of this thing.
And so the parts are relatively cheap, but it'll nickel and dime you in the sense that you'll just buy a lot of small things over time, and eventually you'll be paying a lot more than you'd like to.
Concentrating so much on the road, I can't even say anything.
So how does the engine feel to you?
The engine feels torquey, I think.
Yeah, that's one thing.
Yeah.
that I definitely feel. There's a lot of torque down low.
It feels like it's got a lot of grunt. I'm afraid to go
find a car, and then they spent hours and hours going through YouTube videos, going through websites of these cars, and you just slowly fall in love with it.
Yeah.
And once you know, once you figure out, like, hey, I'm in this situation, that's when you know I need to get this car. So the same thing happened when I got my FDRX7. You know, I just look up videos of three rotor FDs that are shooting flames at least 3 feet tall.
You know, I completely forgot you had that.
Yeah. It saddens me that rotaries did what they do best, and so I had to eventually get rid of it. But the thing sounded amazing. It was like an alien. I will never drive another car like that. At least it gave me the same feeling as that. It was intense. But again, you can never be too stuck on one thing. But just do what you're passionate about. Enjoy the things that you want to do, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
Very agreeable. Trying to be as smooth as I can. But it's really not a hard clutch to push down at all.
It's fairly easy. It gets off pretty quick.
It doesn't feel like there's a lot of pedal travel. It kind of feels like it's not, but it feels like an on-off switch. It's the closest thing I can compare
Yeah,
it
yours
to.
is really like heavy in terms of you really got to get it right.
Yeah. I couldn't
It
remember
seems
if
like
you
you got
drove my
used to this
240.
pretty. Yeah, I did once for a short distance, but
For a short distance.
yeah, I killed it.
That's alright.
It was kind of tough.
Good. Oh no, I killed
there
it.
it is. Oh, there you go.
That's my bad.
Ooh. Yeah. Give it some gas. Give it some gas. There you go.
Oh no.
Speaking of killing it.
Your Datsun wanted to get back at me.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, man.
Nah, you're good.
Just held up like
I'm sure you're the one who got the little heart attack. So.
It was like, no! It's like the literal worst spot you could stall at.
Yeah, I remember when I first started driving manuals, and that was always the biggest fear. Is getting stuck at a light and then having to kill the car or start it up again.
Alright, we're not gonna kill it this time. Be gentle. Be gentle. Yeah, you definitely have to push on the brakes.
Yeah, power brakes, or not power brakes, manual brakes.
Manual brakes.
Well, I guess it has a brake booster, so I guess you'd call that.
Yeah, the brake
I don't know
booster
what
should
you
be
consider
assisted.
power brakes, but assisted brakes.
Yeah.
That's-
I think I'm finally starting to get the feel of the clutch. It like grabs right at the top or at the bottom, I think.
yeah,
and then
it's
it
like you
gets-
don't actually have to put your foot all the way off to get
Yeah.
it where it's already out. So there's a lot, like a
smaller engagement
Exactly.
point. It doesn't really matter what RPM range I'm at. It just sounds good all around. I'm happy at like 2,000 RPM.
would love to do is put a turbo L28 ET in here.
Is that motor you were trying to work on?
Yeah, the one that we took out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys remember our Fair Lady Z Haven video that we made, that was the original motor we were going to put inside this 240Z.
And if you haven't, go back and check it out. That's when I still had the original 2.4, which I was having a pain with.
Yeah, how long did it take you guys to pull that motor out?
Just the one that was originally in it?
Yeah.
We never, the bolt? Or the entire motor?
The entire motor.
I think like a day.
Yeah, I wish I could have stayed and helped you guys out with that more.
Yeah, no worries. At least it helped.
Yeah. I forget this car doesn't have any mirrors on the side here.
Oh yeah, there's no mirrors at all.
Yeah.
It didn't actually come out with a mirror on this side, but it has one on that side. But I took it off.
What an amazing car. I'm so ecstatic, and I'm like in a dream right now that I got to drive this car. It's amazing. It's old, but that's what really adds to the character, I think.
Take old as a compliment.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much, Dennis,
for
my
pleasure.
letting me film this car. And I hope we'll see you on the channel again.
All right.
Thank you guys for watching this episode of Be Tailored. If you're not subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button and leave a comment. Let us know what you guys thought. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.